Welcome back to another lesson with me, Mr. B. In this video, we're going to look at the heart of your essay, the body paragraph. This is the part where you demonstrate and apply what you've learned from this unit by making a connection between a historical literary movement and 21st century culture. Unlike literary or persuasive essays, we're going to be looking at what makes a body paragraph, the details needed to inform our audience or readers, and then look at an example of a body paragraph from previous students. So the body paragraph is where you're going to analyze how the connection you are making is evident through examples you provide. So this is going to be your real world connection. You're going to incorporate at least one connection or example of how this literary movement exists in today's literature, art, or any other form of media. These examples can be personal anecdotes, social media like apps, influencers, vloggers, music videos, movies, TV shows. You can even provide your own life experience if that's something that you want to talk about, or maybe something that you've learned from another class. More often than not, students do make a lot of connections with this project to what they're learning in US history or APUSH. You could also look at a specific artist's work like lyrics, media, poetry, or you can even think about any current events around politics, the political climate of a country, examining our presidency, or I've had someone who looked at Hong Kong riots before. And so just like the introduction outline, you're going to see some sentence starters in these boxes. And this does not necessarily mean your example has to be about a New York best-selling collection of poetry or a book. Again, this is just to kind of help frame what direction you should be heading in with your examples. After you provide your real-world connection, which we'll dive into a little bit deeper in a moment, you're going to explain your thinking. Explain how this example utilizes or shows this movement, or how this movement is important to the foundational themes of your real-world connection. So a sentence starter for this could be, the author's work is influenced by Romanticism because, or naturalism, transcendentalism, whichever movement you decide that you want to work on. So now let's take an in-depth look at what goes in this body paragraph. So just like the introduction, you want to have enough background information to inform your reader of what the real-world example is. If you use a song, give a brief summary of who the artist is, maybe what the song means, when did it come out, what album is it from, and why did you choose to analyze it. Provide any context needed about your real-world example that the reader may need to know. Then provide a specific example or piece of evidence from that art, whether that is a stanza from the song or poem, evidence from a story, example of poetry, or maybe you explaining what an art piece might look like, or describing the summary of a TV show. Whatever the case is, make sure you include a citation, especially if it's a work that you're directly quoting from. For further details on MLA citations, you can click on this link right over here and I'll share the slides so you have access to this resource. I think by now we know how to cite the author or resource if it's a book and the page number that we're referencing, but if you don't, it's right here on the slide. After you properly include your citation and make sure you're drawing a reference to your reading or art medium, make sure you analyze. This is where you show your connection between the media, art, literature, and explain your thinking. What is the importance of this example you chose? And how does it connect to the literary movement you're analyzing? And refer to any of the posts or notes that you might have taken or any of the PDF readers to help draw those connections between any of the literary movements and their direct definitions. Then, a concluding sentence. Wrap up your thoughts and transition into the final paragraph. This is a good way for you to summarize what it is you're talking about before you draw your final conclusions to share with the reader. Before we build on the previous examples, if you haven't already, go check out the lesson on an introduction paragraph, where I review some student examples on naturalism and modernism. Now, let's take a look at how students connected their introduction of naturalism to the popular comic and TV show, The Walking Dead. I hope that in-depth overview of the body paragraph brings clarity on how to structure your real-world example. If you're stumped, check out the next video for an in-depth overview of some student examples. If you still have questions, try asking 3 people before asking me. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.